Last Breath, directed by Alex Parkinson, attempts to plunge viewers into the depths of a real-life deep-sea diving disaster, but instead of delivering a gripping survival thriller, it flounders in shallow waters, unable to rise above its own predictability and lackluster execution. While the film boasts a promising cast and a compelling true story about a saturation diver who stranded 300 feet below the North Sea, it drowns under the weight of uninspired storytelling and a failure to capitalize on its claustrophobic potential. The movie's biggest sin is its inability to decide what it wants to be. Is it a gritty procedural drama about the unsung heroes of underwater maintenance, or a Hollywoodized disaster flick with heightened stakes and emotional heft? The movie straddles both worlds and succeeds at neither. The first half drags with tedious exposition about saturation diving, with endless jargon about heliox gas and decompression chambers, that feels like a lecture rather than a setup for suspense. By the time the accident finally hits, the audience is too numbed by technical monotony to feel the urgency of Chris Lemon's plight. Speaking of Lemons, the script does him no favors. Finn Cole's performance is earnest, but it's hampered by a character written as little more than a cipher, a blank slate whose survival hinges more on luck than personality. Woody Harrelson's Duncan Alcock, the grizzled veteran, and Simu Liu's Dave Uasa, fare slightly better, but their roles are reduced to shouting orders and exchanging cliched tough guy banter that feels lifted from a dozen other survival films. The emotional beats, like Lemon's fleeting flashbacks to his fiancée, are so underdeveloped they land with a thud, sapping any real connection to the characters' fates. Visually, this movie is a letdown. The underwater sequences, which should be the film's pulse-pounding centerpiece, are murky and repetitive. The above-water shots on the Bibi Topaz vessel are equally uninspired, with flat cinematography that fails to convey the chaos of a storm-tossed ship. For a story that's inherently about isolation and peril, the film feels oddly safe and sanitized, as if afraid to lean into the existential dread of its premise. Perhaps the most frustrating aspect is how it squanders its source material. The real-life incident, where Lemons miraculously survived nearly 40 minutes without oxygen, is a tale of human endurance that defies explanation. Yet the film adds little to what the documentary already captured so vividly, opting for a by-the-numbers narrative that resolves too neatly, and lacks the ambiguity or awe the story deserves. The ticking clock suspense, while briefly effective, is undermined by a climax that feels rushed, and a coda that's jarringly upbeat, stripping away any lingering sense of consequence. In the end, Last Breath is a missed opportunity, a disaster movie that forgets to thrill, a character study with no depth, and a tribute to real-life resilience that feels more like a watered-down retread than a bold cinematic plunge. Fans of the genre might find a few tense moments to cling to, but for most, this is one breath not worth taking. It's not worth to watch this in theaters, just wait on your streaming service.